Planting wildflowers is a fantastic way to enhance your garden's beauty while supporting local ecosystems. Wildflowers are not only low maintenance, but they also attract pollinators like bees, butterflies, and birds, creating a vibrant, lively environment. In fact, over 85% of flowering plants rely on pollinators to reproduce, making them essential for biodiversity. By incorporating wildflowers into your garden, you can transform your outdoor space into a natural landscape that thrives with minimal intervention, offering year-round interest and ecological benefits. In this guide, we'll walk you through the key steps to planting wildflower seeds, from selecting the right mix and preparing your soil, to sowing the seeds and caring for your growing garden. First, let's talk about choosing the right wildflower mix, which is crucial for a successful garden. If you want fast results, go for an annual wildflower mix. Annuals like California poppies, cornflowers, and cosmos are perfect for beginners because they germinate quickly and bloom within a few months. California poppies, for instance, can begin blooming just 8 weeks after planting. These flowers are an excellent choice if you're eager to see color in your garden this year. However, these plants complete their life cycle in one season, so you'll need to replant next year. For a more long-term approach, consider a perennial wildflower mix. Species like black-eyed Susans, purple coneflowers, and lupines may take a year or two to bloom, but once they do, they'll return year after year. This makes them perfect for gardeners who want a stable, low-maintenance garden that matures over time. Some perennials, such as purple coneflowers, can live up to 10 years or more, making them a lasting addition to your garden. For a beginner-friendly option, you can even try a mix that includes both annuals and perennials, giving you the immediate color from annuals and the lasting impact from perennials. When buying seeds, it's important to choose high-quality mixes from reputable suppliers. If you live in a dry area, select a drought-tolerant mix that includes species like blanket flower or desert marigold. Some wildflowers, like desert marigolds, can thrive with as little as 10 inches of rain per year, making them ideal for arid regions. If your garden has rich, moist soil, go for species like wild bergamot or swamp milkweed, which prefer moisture. Also, consider how much sunlight your garden gets. Full sun areas work well with coreopsis and coneflowers, while partially shaded spots are better for plants like columbine and foxglove. This step is key to setting your wildflower garden up for success. Once you have your seeds, selecting the right site is your next step. Start by finding a location in your garden that receives at least 6 hours of direct sunlight each day. Most wildflowers, like coneflowers and coreopsis, thrive in full sun, and some species, such as sunflowers and black-eyed Susans, need a minimum of 8 hours of sunlight to produce their best blooms. To determine how much sun a spot receives, observe the area at different times of the day, or use a sunlight meter, which can give you a more accurate measurement. Next, assess your soil's condition. If your soil is heavy clay, which tends to be dense and poorly drained, this can pose a challenge for many wildflower species, especially those that prefer well-drained soil. To improve drainage, amend the soil by mixing in coarse sand or small gravel to break up the clay. Add about 2 to 3 inches of sand per square foot and work it into the top 6 to 8 inches of soil. For even better results, mix in compost, which will not only improve drainage, but also enhance soil structure and fertility. A general rule is to add 1 to 2 inches of compost per square foot, which should be worked into the top few inches of soil. If you're planting moisture-loving wildflowers like swamp milkweed or cardinal flower, it's essential to ensure your soil retains water well. Check your soil's moisture retention by digging a small hole, filling it with water, and seeing how long it takes to drain. If the water drains too quickly, within an hour, your soil might be too sandy and may need amendments. Incorporate organic matter like compost or well-rotted manure to help retain moisture. Aim to add 1 to 2 inches of compost per square foot, working it into the soil to help it hold water longer and provide essential nutrients. Now let's prepare the soil, which is crucial for setting up your wildflowers for success. Start by clearing the area of any existing vegetation, including weeds and grass. You can do this manually with a hoe or spade, or by using a non-selective herbicide. Just be sure to follow the label instructions if you go the herbicide route, and wait the recommended period before planting. Once the area is clear, use a rake to loosen the top few inches of soil. If your soil is low in organic matter, add a layer of compost and work it into the soil to improve fertility. However, be careful not to over-fertilize. Wildflowers typically do well in less fertile soils, and too much compost can lead to lots of leaves but fewer flowers. In fact, research shows that high nitrogen levels can reduce the number of blooms in many wildflower species. Timing is key to planting your wildflower seeds. In cooler climates, fall planting is ideal because the seeds can undergo cold stratification over winter, which improves germination. Cold stratification mimics natural winter conditions, breaking seed dormancy and triggering growth. Simply scatter the seeds on the soil surface in late fall before the ground freezes. In warmer climates, aim to plant in early spring after the last frost. This gives the seeds time to establish before the heat of summer. When sowing wildflower seeds, a great technique for beginners is to mix the seeds with sand, about 1 part seeds to 4 parts sand. This makes it easier to spread them evenly across the soil. Use your hands or a small broadcast spreader to scatter the seeds over the prepared soil. Afterward, lightly rake the area to ensure good seed-to-soil contact, but be careful not to bury the seeds too deeply. Most wildflower seeds need light to germinate, so they should stay near the surface. Studies show that burying seeds too deeply can reduce germination rates by up to 80%. Once the seeds are sown, keeping the soil moist is crucial for germination. This usually takes about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the seed mix and weather conditions. Water gently with a fine mist or light spray setting on your hose to avoid washing the seeds away. Check the moisture level daily, and water is needed to keep the soil consistently moist, but not waterlogged. Seedlings typically need about 1 inch of water per week, so adjust your watering schedule based on rainfall. As your wildflowers begin to grow, you'll need to care for the seedlings. Water regularly to keep the soil evenly moist during the first few weeks. A good rule of thumb is to water deeply once or twice a week rather than shallowly every day, which encourages deeper root growth. Watch out for weeds, which can outcompete your seedlings for resources. It's a good idea to familiarize yourself with what your wildflower seedlings look like so you don't accidentally pull them up while weeding. Use small hand tools to carefully remove any weeds, making sure not to disturb the wildflower roots. Thinning is another important step. Once the seedlings are about 2 to 3 inches tall, check if they're overcrowded. If so, thin them out by removing some plants, leaving a few inches between each one. This gives the remaining plants more space to grow, leading to healthier and more robust blooms. Studies suggest that proper thinning can increase bloom production by up to 50%. As your garden matures, you'll start to see the results of your efforts. Annuals like Cosmos and California poppies will bloom within a few months, adding immediate color to your garden. Perennials may take a bit longer to establish, but will reward your patience by returning year after year. During this time, monitor your garden for signs of stress, such as yellowing leaves, and adjust your care routine as needed. Regularly deadhead spent flowers, especially in annuals, to encourage more blooms throughout the season. Deadheading can extend the flowering period of many annuals by several weeks. By the end of the season, clean up your garden by removing any dead plants and debris. For perennial wildflowers, consider cutting back the plants in late fall or early spring to prepare for the next growing season. This keeps the garden tidy and helps prevent diseases. We hope you found this guide helpful. If you have any questions or tips to share, leave them in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more gardening content. Happy gardening!